Elderly man falls into frozen river and can't get out until this boy appears. Walter Thompson struggled along the icy trail, his 75 years weighing heavily with each unsteady step on the slippery rocks. The harsh winter in the Smoky Mountains had turned the banks of Pine Creek River into a deadly trap of ice and mud. It was at that very moment that the wooden support of the old bridge gave way beneath his feet. The sharp crack of the breaking plank echoed through the silent valley before Walter plunged into the freezing river below. The strong current immediately swept him away, and his trembling hands desperately clawed for something to hold onto. The biting cold paralyzed his muscles as water flooded his lungs. From the riverbank above, a boy in a worn-out coat and a black beanie watched in panic. Tyler was only 11 years old, but he didn't hesitate for a second. He sprinted down the steep slope, slipping on the dirty snow until he reached the river's edge. His brown eyes frantically searched for something he could use to help the old man. "Hold on, I'll get you out," Tyler shouted, grabbing a long branch half buried in the snow. Walter could barely keep his head above water. His strength was fading fast, and hypothermia was taking over his body. When he spotted the boy on the bank, he tried to swim toward him, but the current was relentless. Tyler realized the branch wouldn't be enough. Without a second thought, he stepped into the shallow water at the edge, feeling the icy cold pierce through his old boots. The shock made his body tremble violently, but he kept pushing forward until he could reach the old man's hand. "Easy, Grandpa. I'll pull you in," the boy said, using all his strength to drag Walter to shore. When they finally made it out of the water, both were shaking uncontrollably. Walter coughed violently, expelling the freezing water he'd swallowed. His lips were blue, and his breathing was ragged. Tyler took off his own soaked coat and tried to cover the old man, even though it was drenched. "Thank you, son. You saved me," Walter murmured between shivers, trying to focus on the boy's face. It was then that something familiar in those brown eyes made his heart stop. The same sweet expression, the same shape of the face, the same shy way of lowering his head. Walter blinked several times, wondering if hypothermia was making him hallucinate. "Tyler?" he whispered, barely believing what he saw. The boy froze. His eyes widened, and he took a step back, as if he'd been caught doing something wrong. He started to move away slowly, but Walter, weak and trembling, reached out toward him. "Tyler, is that really you, my grandson?" The old man's voice was thick with emotion and disbelief. The boy stopped but didn't turn around. His shoulders shook, and it wasn't just from the cold. It had been 3 years since he'd last seen his grandfather, ever since his mother Jennifer had cut off all contact after that terrible fight over Grandma's inheritance. How did you know I was here?" Tyler asked, still facing away. Walter tried to stand, but his legs gave out. The fall into the river had left his body even weaker than it already was from age and the health problems he'd been dealing with. "I didn't know, my boy. I was just walking," he answered, his voice breaking. "But what are you doing out here alone in this cold?" Tyler finally turned, and Walter could see tears streaming down the boy's flushed face. He looked so different from how Walter remembered. Taller, thinner, with a seriousness in his expression that shouldn't belong on an 11-year-old. I come here a lot," Tyler admitted, wiping his nose with his wet sleeve. "Mom thinks I'm at school, but sometimes I skip to come here. To see you from afar." Walter's heart shattered. His grandson had been skipping school to watch over him, without him even knowing. During all these 3 years of forced separation, Tyler had been nearby, secretly looking after him. "Have you been doing this for a long time?" asked Walter, trying once more to stand up with the help of a rock. "Ever since Mom said you were gone forever," replied Tyler, lowering his head. "But I knew you hadn't left. I see you here every week, walking alone, looking sad." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. The revelation hit Walter like a punch to the gut. Jennifer had lied to her own son, making him believe his grandfather had abandoned the family. Anger and sadness swirled in his chest, but he knew this wasn't the time for explanations. They needed to get out of there before hypothermia took over. Tyler, we need to find help. We're soaked and freezing, said Walter, trying to stay calm despite the uncontrollable trembling in his voice. I know a place nearby, the boy answered, taking his grandfather's icy hand. Mrs. Baker lets us into her house when it's really cold. Leaning on his grandson, Walter began walking slowly along the trail. Every step was a struggle against the weakness and cold overtaking his body. Tyler, despite being drenched and shivering too, seemed surprisingly strong and determined. My boy, I need you to know I never left, Walter said as they walked. I've always been here, waiting for the day I could see you again. I knew, Tyler whispered. Mom always said you didn't care about us anymore, but I knew it wasn't true. You always left flowers on Grandma's grave on her birthdays. Walter stopped walking and looked at his grandson in surprise. The boy had been watching him, even in those most private moments of grief and longing. You saw me there? You saw? He asked, his voice thick with emotion. Lots of times. I snuck away from Mom. She wouldn't let us go there. Said we didn't need to visit Grandma anymore because you had tainted her memory with that fight. Tyler's words cut through Walter's heart. Jennifer had completely poisoned the boy's mind against him, even using the memory of his late wife as a weapon. The fight over the inheritance had been a terrible misunderstanding, but wounded pride on both sides had prevented any chance of reconciliation. They finally reached Mrs. Baker's small house, an 80-year-old woman who lived alone by the roadside. She opened the door as soon as she saw the two of them, soaked and shivering on her porch. Good heavens, come in quick, she exclaimed, pulling them inside. What happened to you? Mr. Walter fell into the river, Mrs. Baker, Tyler explained, helping his grandfather sit near the fireplace. I got him out, but we both got really wet. Mrs. Baker hurried to fetch dry towels and blankets. She knew Walter well. He always greeted her politely when passing by on his solitary walks. She also knew Tyler, who sometimes showed up looking for the man with the white beard when he thought he'd lost sight of his grandfather. Young man, you need to call your mother, Mrs. Baker said, handing them dry clothes. She must be worried since you didn't come home from school. Tyler exchanged a tense glance with Walter. Both knew calling Jennifer would mean the end of this unexpected reunion and likely more years of separation. Can you call her? Tyler asked, fear in his voice. I don't know how to explain about Grandpa. Mrs. Baker noticed the tension between the two and decided not to ask questions. She picked up the phone and dialed the number Tyler knew by heart. On the other end of the line, Jennifer's voice sounded desperate and furious. Hello? Have you seen my son? He didn't come home from school and I've been looking everywhere. Jennifer, sweetheart, it's Betty here from the road. Your boy is with me, he's fine, but something happened. Can you come here, please? What happened? What did he do now? Jennifer's voice was filled with anger and worry. He saved a man who fell into the river. They're both wet and cold, but they're okay. Just come, please. Walter listened to the conversation with a heavy heart. In just a few minutes, he would see his daughter for the first time in 3 years. The woman who had once been his beloved little girl, the one he had raised alone after his wife fell ill, and who now hated him deeply. As they waited for Jennifer to arrive, Tyler sat beside his grandfather near the fireplace. The boy was clearly nervous, knowing an emotional storm was about to erupt. Grandpa, Mom's going to be really mad, Tyler whispered. She said if I ever tried to find you, she'd send me to boarding school. Don't worry, son. I'll talk to her, Walter replied, though he had no idea what he could say to soften 3 years of built-up resentment. You don't understand, Tyler continued, tears in his eyes. She really hates you. Every time someone mentions your name, she gets really upset and starts yelling. The sound of a car screeching to a stop outside the house interrupted them. Hurried footsteps approached the door, and Jennifer barged in without knocking, frantically searching for her son. Tyler, where are you? Her voice died in her throat when she saw Walter sitting beside the boy. Jennifer Thompson was 38, but looked older. The stress of the past few years had etched premature wrinkles into her face and left her with a permanently tense expression. Her brown hair was disheveled, showing she had rushed out of the house to search for her son. The silence in the room grew suffocating. Jennifer stared at her father with a mix of shock, anger, and something that looked like despair. Walter tried to stand to greet her, but his legs were still weak. "What are you doing with my son?" Jennifer asked, her voice icy. "Jennifer, he saved me," Walter said calmly. "I fell into the river, and he risked his life to pull me out." "Liar!" Jennifer exploded. "You set this whole thing up to get close to Tyler. Aren't you ashamed of using a child in your little games?" Tyler jumped up, stepping between his mother and grandfather. "Mom, stop! It wasn't like that," the boy shouted. "Grandpa almost drowned. I saw him fall off the bridge." "You were spying on him again, weren't you?" Jennifer grabbed her son's arm tightly. "How many times have I told you to stay away from this man?" "He wasn't spying on me, Jennifer," Walter interjected, trying to stand again. "I didn't know he was there. It was a coincidence." "Coincidence?" Jennifer laughed bitterly. "Do you think I was born yesterday? You've always been manipulative, always had a plan for everything." Mrs. Baker, who had stayed quiet in the corner of the room, decided to step in. "Jennifer, honey, lower your voice. The boy saved his father from a very serious situation. When they got here, Walter could barely stand from the cold." "And you, Mrs. Baker?" Jennifer turned to the elderly woman. "You're on his side now too?" "I'm not on anyone's side," Mrs. Baker replied firmly. "I'm on the side of the truth, and the truth is, your son is a hero. He could have drowned trying to save his grandfather." Jennifer looked at Tyler, whose eyes were red from crying. For the first time, she really took in the state of her son. His clothes were soaked, his lips still had a bluish tint, and he was trembling slightly. "My God, did you really go into that freezing water?" she asked, her anger giving way to maternal concern. "I couldn't let Grandpa drown," replied Tyler, wiping his nose. "He would have died if I hadn't done something." Jennifer knelt in front of her son and carefully examined him, checking for any injuries. Her hands trembled as she touched the boy's icy face. "You could have died too," she murmured, pulling Tyler into a tight hug. "You can't do things like this. You're just a child." "But I'm not just a child," Tyler protested, pulling away from the embrace. "I'm 11 years old, and I know exactly what I'm doing." "You don't know anything," Jennifer shouted, her anger flaring back up. "You don't know the kind of man he is. You don't know what he did to our family." Walter, who had finally managed to stand, took a step toward his daughter. "Jennifer, please, let's talk calmly. Not in front of Tyler." "No!" Jennifer pointed a finger at her father. "Don't give me that gentle talk. You lost the right to tell me anything when you chose inheritance money over your own family." "What inheritance, Mom?" Tyler asked, confused. "What money?" Jennifer realized she had said too much in front of her son. All these years she had avoided explaining the details of the fight to Tyler, only saying that Grandpa had left because he didn't care about them anymore. "It's none of your business," Jennifer said, trying to pull Tyler toward the door. "We're leaving now." "No!" Tyler broke free from his mother and ran back to his grandfather. "I want to stay with Grandpa." "Tyler, come here right now," Jennifer ordered, her voice full of authority. "I won't," the boy shouted. "You lied to me. You said he was gone, but he was always here. I saw him visiting Grandma. I saw him walking alone, always sad. You lied." Silence filled the room again. Jennifer stood there, mouth agape, realizing her son had uncovered her lies. Walter looked at his grandson with both pride and sadness. "Tyler," Jennifer tried to step closer, but the boy backed away. "Why did you do that?" Tyler asked, tears streaming down his face. "Why did you make me believe he didn't love me anymore?" Jennifer's legs felt weak and she leaned against the wall. For 3 years, she had tried to protect her son from the disappointment she felt toward her father. But in doing so, she had caused even greater pain. I thought it was better this way," Jennifer said, her voice barely audible. "I didn't want you to get hurt like I did." "But I was hurt," Tyler shouted. "I cried every night thinking Grandpa had abandoned me. I thought I'd done something wrong." Walter couldn't hold back any longer. Ignoring the weakness in his legs, he stepped forward and hugged his grandson tightly. "You never did anything wrong, my boy. Never. I love you more than anything in this world, and I would never, ever abandon you." Jennifer watched the scene with a broken heart. For 3 years, she had fed her anger and resentment, but seeing her father embrace her son reminded her of all the good times they had shared before the fight. "Jennifer," Mrs. Baker said softly, "why don't you all talk properly? It's been too long." "There's nothing to talk about," Jennifer replied, but her voice lacked conviction. "He chose money over us." "What money, Jennifer?" Walter asked, still holding Tyler. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play innocent," Jennifer raised her voice again. "Mom's inheritance. You tried to take it all and leave us with nothing." Walter let go of Tyler and looked at his daughter with genuine confusion. "Jennifer, I never tried to take any inheritance. I didn't even know your mother had left anything." "That's a lie. The lawyer explained everything to me." Jennifer grabbed her purse and pulled out some yellowed papers. "It's all documented here. You tried to transfer Mom's house into your name without telling me." Walter took the papers with trembling hands and read them carefully. His eyes widened in surprise as he examined the documents. "Jennifer, this isn't true," he said, shaking his head. "I never signed these papers. This isn't even my signature." "Of course it is." Jennifer snatched the documents from her father's hands. "Do you think I'm stupid?" "Let me take a closer look," Mrs. Baker said, reaching out. "I know Walter's handwriting well. He always writes me little letters at Christmas." The elderly woman carefully examined the papers, comparing them to a notebook, where she jotted down the notes Walter left when he visited. "Jennifer, my dear, this wasn't written by your father," Mrs. Baker said firmly. "The handwriting is completely different." Jennifer took the papers back and looked them over again. Her expression shifted from certainty to doubt. But Dr. Wilson showed me. He said you had gone to his office." "What Dr. Wilson?" Walter asked. "I've never been to any lawyer's office." "Dr. Harold Wilson. He said he was Mom's lawyer and that you were trying to contest the will." Walter and Mrs. Baker exchanged a meaningful glance. Both knew Dr. Harold Wilson, but not as a lawyer. "Jennifer," Walter said calmly, "Dr. Harold Wilson isn't a lawyer. He's a real estate agent, and he's tried to convince me several times to sell the house I live in to some of his clients." Jennifer's face paled. She sank heavily into the nearest chair, still clutching the forged papers. "This can't be true," she murmured. "He showed me his office. There was a diploma on the wall." "Anyone can hang a fake diploma on the wall," Mrs. Baker said. "And you were so hurt by your mother's loss that you believed what he told you." Tyler, who had been silently listening to the whole conversation, stepped closer to his mother. "Mom, does this mean Grandpa didn't do anything wrong?" he asked, hope in his voice. Jennifer couldn't answer. 3 years of anger and resentment were crumbling before her eyes. She had cut ties with her father based on a con man's lies. "Jennifer," Walter said, cautiously moving closer, "I need you to know that I never wanted anything from your mother's inheritance. Everything she left was for you and Tyler. I didn't even know she had made a will." "But why didn't you come after me when I accused you?" Jennifer asked, tears streaming down her face. "Why didn't you fight to clear things up?" "Because you were grieving so much over losing your mother," Walter replied, his voice choked. "I thought maybe it was best to give you time to calm down, but days turned into weeks, weeks into months. And you were too proud to come after me," Jennifer finished, recognizing the stubborn streak she'd inherited from her father. "And so were you," Walter answered. "We're a lot alike, Jennifer. When we're hurt, we shut ourselves off like oysters." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. Tyler looked at the two adults, trying to understand how a lie had torn his family apart for so long. His child's mind couldn't grasp how two smart adults had believed a stranger instead of talking to each other. "So, you fought for nothing?" Tyler asked. "Grandpa didn't do anything wrong and we didn't see each other for 3 years because of a liar?" The simplicity of the question pierced Jennifer and Walter's hearts. A child had summed up their entire family tragedy in a single sentence. "That's right, son," admitted Walter, sinking heavily into his chair. "And I'm so sorry for all the pain we caused you." Jennifer stood up and began pacing the room, running her hands nervously through her hair. "I need to process all this," she said, more to herself than to anyone else. 3 years. 3 years of my son's life without his grandfather because of a lie. "Jennifer, don't blame yourself," said Mrs. Baker. "That man was very convincing. He fooled a lot of people around here with those inheritance scams." "What other scams?" Walter asked, suddenly alert. "Mrs. Rose from the neighboring farm was tricked by him too. He forged documents claiming there were issues with her land deed. She almost sold the property for a fraction of its worth before realizing it was all a lie." Jennifer stopped pacing and looked at Mrs. Baker with interest. "What happened to him?" "The last I heard, he fled town when a few families uncovered his schemes, but that was about 2 years ago." Walter stood again, this time more firmly. "Jennifer, I need you to understand something. Not a single day went by in these 3 years when I didn't think about you and Tyler. I tried reaching out so many times, but I always lost my nerve at the last moment." "Why?" Jennifer asked, stopping to face her father directly. "Because you were so furious the last time we spoke. You screamed that you never wanted to see me again, that I was a terrible father, and that you were better off without me. I was afraid of making things worse." Jennifer remembered that awful day. She had shouted so many cruel things, fueled by the pain of losing her mother and her anger at her father's supposed deceit, words she now knew were unfair. "Dad, Jennifer tried to speak, but her voice failed. "You don't have to apologize now," Walter said. "First, let's take care of Tyler. He caught a chill from the cold water, and I'm not feeling too well myself." As if summoned by concern, Mrs. Baker appeared with a tray of hot tea and some aspirin. "You both need to drink this now," she said, handing them steaming cups. "And Walter should see a doctor. That fall in the river might have caused some hidden injury." "I'm fine," Walter protested, but a dry cough cut him off. "You're not fine, Grandpa," Tyler said, stepping closer with worry. "You've been coughing since we got out of the water." Jennifer watched the interaction between father and son with mixed emotions. She had lost 3 years of her own father's life, 3 years she'd never get back. And Walter, who had always been so strong and healthy, now seemed frailer than she remembered. "Dad, how old are you now?" Jennifer asked, realizing she didn't even know his exact age. 75, Walter replied. "I had my birthday last month." Jennifer's chest tightened. She had missed her father's 75th birthday, a milestone in anyone's life, and she hadn't even known it had passed. I didn't know," she murmured, feeling awful. "I sent Tyler a card," Walter said hesitantly. "I don't know if it arrived." Jennifer looked at her son, who lowered his head in shame. "It did, Mom, but I hid it because you got sad whenever Grandpa was mentioned." "Tyler," Jennifer exclaimed. "Where are the cards?" "Under my mattress. There are a bunch. Birthday cards, Christmas cards, Children's Day cards." Jennifer sat down again, this time feeling the full weight of her choices over the years. She had deprived her son of his grandfather's love and kept her father from showing affection to his grandson. "Dad, I'm sorry," said Jennifer, finally finding the words. "I destroyed our family because of my pride and my pain." "We both did, Jennifer," replied Walter. "I should have tried harder to clear things up too." Tyler stood up and looked seriously at both of them. "Can you both stop blaming yourselves now?" the boy said. "What matters is we found out the truth. Now we can be a family again." The simplicity and wisdom of Tyler's words brought a smile to Walter and Jennifer's faces for the first time in years. "You're right, son," said Walter, opening his arms. "Come here and give your grandpa a hug." Tyler rushed into the embrace, followed hesitantly by Jennifer. When the 3 of them hugged, Mrs. Baker discreetly wiped a tear from her eye. "Now that's more like it," the elderly woman said. "Now you look like a real family." But the happiness of the moment was interrupted by Walter's violent coughing. He doubled over, coughing in a way that worried Jennifer, and she noticed blood on the handkerchief he held to his mouth. "Dad," Jennifer exclaimed, alarmed, "you're coughing up blood." Walter tried to hide the handkerchief, but Jennifer was quicker. "This isn't new," she said, examining the blood. "Dad, how long has this been going on?" "Jennifer, it's nothing serious," Walter tried to say, but another coughing fit cut him off. "We're going to the hospital right now," Jennifer declared, grabbing the car keys. "Tyler, get your coat. Mrs. Baker, thank you so much for everything." "I'm coming with you," said Mrs. Baker. "Someone needs to drive while you take care of your father." On the way to the hospital in Pineville, Walter tried to downplay his symptoms, but Tyler noticed every labored breath his grandfather took. The boy held the old man's cold hand, noticing how much thinner and frailer it was than he remembered. "Grandpa, have you been sick for a long time?" Tyler asked. Walter glanced at Jennifer in the rearview mirror before answering. "A little while, son, but nothing the doctors can't fix." Jennifer knew her father was hiding something important. Her experience as a nurse at the local clinic helped her recognize signs of serious illness. "Dad, what exactly are your symptoms?" she asked in a professional tone. "Jennifer, let's talk about this later," Walter said, glancing at Tyler. "No," Tyler protested. "I already lost 3 years not knowing anything. Now I want to know everything." Jennifer and Walter exchanged looks. The boy was right. He'd been kept in the dark for too long. "All right," Walter said with a sigh. "I have some issues with my lungs. The doctors are running tests to figure out exactly what it is." "What kind of issues?" Tyler pressed. "A mass they found on my last X-ray," Walter admitted. "But it could be a lot of things, son. No need to worry yet." Silence filled the car. Jennifer felt the world spinning around her. For the past 3 years, while she held on to her anger, her father had been fighting a potentially serious illness alone. "Why didn't you tell me?" Jennifer asked, her voice trembling. "Because you hated me," Walter answered simply. "And I didn't want you to think I was using my illness to manipulate you." "Dad," Jennifer tried to speak, but couldn't find the words. "Besides," Walter continued, "you're a nurse. You know how these things go. I didn't want to worry you until I knew for sure what it was." When they arrived at the hospital, Walter was immediately taken to the emergency room. Jennifer used her professional experience to speed up the process, while Tyler refused to leave his grandfather's side. Dr. Richard Mitchell, a physician who knew Walter from previous checkups, was surprised to see Jennifer with her father. "Jennifer, it's so good to see you all together again," said the doctor. "Your father always spoke so much about you and your son." "Doctor, he had a fall in the river today. He was in the cold water for a long time," Jennifer explained, "and I noticed he's coughing up blood." Dr. Mitchell examined Walter carefully, asking several questions about his symptoms and the fall. Then he asked to speak privately with Jennifer. "Can I come too?" Tyler asked. Jennifer looked at her father, who nodded. "Of course, my son, you're part of this family." In the office, Dr. Mitchell got straight to the point. "Walter, the latest tests haven't been very encouraging. The mass in your lung has grown, and with this fall in the cold water, there's a high risk of pneumonia." "Doctor," Jennifer interrupted, "what exactly does my father have?" "We suspect a lung tumor," the doctor said gravely. "We're still running tests to determine if it's benign or malignant, but the situation isn't simple." Tyler gripped Walter's hand tightly. "Does that mean Grandpa will get better?" the boy asked. "We'll do everything in our power," Dr. Mitchell replied. "But he'll need a lot of care and support from his family." Jennifer felt her legs weaken. For 3 years, she had turned her back on her father, who had been silently battling a serious illness. "Dad, why didn't you come to me when you found out?" she asked through tears. "Because I hoped the doctors were wrong," Walter answered, "and because I didn't want our reconciliation to be based on my illness." "But now we've reconciled for another reason," Tyler said. "Because we found out that man lied to tear our family apart." Dr. Mitchell watched the family with interest. During the months of appointments, Walter had always seemed depressed and lonely. Now, even facing concerning news about his health, he looked more hopeful. "Mr. Thompson, I'll admit you for a few days for observation," the doctor said. "The hypothermia could complicate your lung condition." "Doctor, can I stay with him?" Tyler asked. "The hospital doesn't allow children overnight," Dr. Mitchell explained, "but you can visit him during the day." "You don't have to, son," Walter said. "You have school tomorrow." "I'm not going to school," Tyler declared. "I've skipped a lot to keep an eye on you. Now I'll skip to really take care of you." Jennifer's heart ached. Her son had carried the responsibility of looking after his grandfather all on his own for so long. "Tyler, you can't miss any more classes," Jennifer said. "But after school, we'll come here every day." "Promise?" Tyler asked. "Promise," Jennifer replied, kissing her son's forehead. During the hospitalization, Walter underwent several tests. Jennifer learned he had lost 30 pounds in recent months and had been experiencing worsening shortness of breath. "Dad, how did you hide all this?" Jennifer asked as she adjusted the hospital bed pillows. "When you live alone, you learn to handle things," Walter answered. "Besides, I've always been stubborn. You know that." Tyler sat in the chair beside the bed, drawing a picture of his grandfather in the hospital. He had insisted on bringing his art supplies to keep Walter entertained during his stay. "Grandpa, when you get out of here, can you come live with us?" Tyler asked, not looking up from his drawing. Jennifer and Walter exchanged glances. It was a conversation they needed to have, but didn't know how to start. "Son, your mother has her life organized," Walter said. "I don't want to be a burden." "You won't be," Tyler said. "Our house is big and Mom always complains it's hard to take care of everything alone." "It's true," Jennifer admitted. "And now that we know about your condition, you can't live by yourself anymore." "Jennifer, I don't want to be a burden," protested Walter. "Dad, you're not a burden, you're family," said Jennifer, taking her father's hand, "and family takes care of family." A nurse entered the room to administer medication to Walter. It was Sarah, a woman in her 40s who had worked with Jennifer at another hospital. "Jennifer, how wonderful to see you here," Sarah exclaimed. "Is this gentleman your father? He always talks so much about having a nurse for a daughter." "You know my dad?" Jennifer asked, surprised. "I do. He's been coming here for months for tests, always polite, always alone. I'm so glad to see you've reconciled." After Sarah left, Jennifer felt even worse. Hospital staff knew more about her father's situation than she did. "Dad, forgive me for being so stubborn," Jennifer said. "You were going through all of this alone because of me." "Jennifer, stop blaming yourself," Walter replied. "What matters is that we're together now. And Tyler gave me a very special gift today." "What gift?" Tyler asked, looking up from his drawing. "He called me Grandpa several times," Walter answered, smiling. "It's been 3 years since I last heard that word." Tyler grinned and showed the drawing he had made. It was simple but touching, 3 figures holding hands in front of a small house. "That's the 3 of us at our new home," Tyler explained, "when Grandpa gets out of the hospital." Jennifer looked at the drawing and felt a deep emotion. Her son had sketched the family she had destroyed 3 years ago, the family now being rebuilt. "It's a beautiful drawing, sweetheart," Jennifer said, hugging her son. "Doctor." Mitchell entered the room with test results in hand. His serious expression put everyone on alert. "Mr. Thompson, I have some news about your tests," the doctor said. "The good news is the pneumonia is responding well to treatment." "And the bad news?" Jennifer asked, bracing herself. "The mass in your lung is indeed a tumor, but we don't yet know if it's malignant. We'll need a biopsy to be sure." Tyler got up from his chair and moved closer to the bed. "Doctor, does that mean Grandpa could get really sick?" the boy asked. Dr. Mitchell knelt to meet Tyler's eye level. "Tyler, your grandfather is already sick, but we're going to do everything possible to help him get better." "And if the tumor is malignant?" Jennifer asked, using the technical term Tyler didn't fully grasp. "Then we'll start the appropriate treatment right away," the doctor replied. "With family support, the chances of success are always higher." Walter watched the conversation with mixed feelings. On one hand, he worried about the future. On the other, he felt blessed to have his family back just when he needed them most. "Doctor," Walter said, "regardless of the results, I want you to know I already feel healed. My family has returned to me." Tyler climbed onto the bed and snuggled next to his grandfather. "We're never leaving again, Grandpa," the boy promised. "Even if you get really old and need help with everything." "Even if I get grumpy and stubborn?" Walter teased. "You're already grumpy and stubborn," Jennifer said, laughing, "and we love you anyway." The conversation was interrupted by a knock at the door. A well-dressed, professional-looking woman in her 50s entered. "Excuse me, I'm looking for Mr. Walter Thompson," she said. "That's me," Walter replied, puzzled. "My name is Attorney Patricia Wells from the Bar Association. I'm investigating some irregularities involving forged documents in the area." Jennifer and Walter exchanged glances immediately. The scam that had torn them apart still hadn't been fully resolved. "Are you referring to Dr. Harold Wilson?" Jennifer asked. "Exactly," confirmed Attorney Patricia. "Were you victims of his?" Jennifer briefly explained about the forged documents and how they had caused the family's separation. Attorney Patricia carefully noted everything down. Folks, you weren't his only victims. Dr. Wilson has pulled similar scams on at least 15 families in the area. He's facing criminal charges now. And our documents? Jennifer asked. How do we prove they're fake? That's the easiest part, replied Attorney Patricia. He used a forged stamp and clearly imitated signatures. The experts have already confirmed the fraud. Walter felt relieved. Finally, there would be an official resolution to the problem that had caused his family so much pain. Attorney Patricia, Walter said, we want to be part of the case against him. Of course. You'll be called to testify. But I can tell you now he'll likely be sentenced to several years in prison. After the attorney left, Tyler asked a question that surprised the adults. Why do people do bad things like that? The boy asked. Why did that man want to split up our family? Jennifer and Walter hesitated. How do you explain greed and cruelty to a child? Some people do bad things because they want money, Jennifer explained. They don't care if they hurt others. But he didn't get money by splitting you up, Tyler pointed out. He just made everyone sad. His innocent observation made the adults pause. The scammer had caused suffering without even getting the money he wanted. Proof that evil is sometimes just plain stupid. You're right, son, Walter said. Bad people sometimes do things that hurt even themselves. So they're dumb too? Tyler asked. Very dumb, Jennifer confirmed, laughing at her son's simple logic. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. In the following days, Walter gradually recovered from pneumonia. The doctors postponed the biopsy until he was stronger, giving the family time to reorganize. Jennifer spoke with her supervisor at the health clinic and adjusted her schedule to better care for her father. Tyler, meanwhile, started bringing his homework to the hospital, turning the room into a makeshift study space. Grandpa, can you help me with this math problem? Tyler asked one afternoon, showing his notebook to Walter. Of course, son. Just let me grab my glasses, Walter said, searching the nightstand. As they worked through the problems together, Jennifer watched the scene with emotion. For 3 years, she had kept her son from these moments with his grandfather, homework that could have been lessons in learning and family bonding. Dad, you've always been good at math, Jennifer remarked. I remember when you used to help me with problems when I was little. And you always complained it was too hard, Walter recalled, smiling. But you always figured it out in the end. Will Grandpa be able to help me with homework every day when he comes to live with us? Tyler asked. If he wants to and feels up to it, yes, Jennifer replied. I'll always want to, Walter assured. It's one of the things I've missed most about our family. The simple everyday moments. A nurse came in with Walter's afternoon snack. It was Sarah, the same nurse who had recognized Jennifer earlier. How's our patient doing today? Sarah asked, checking Walter's vitals. Much better, Walter answered, especially now that my family's back. It's amazing how much difference family support makes in recovery, Sarah remarked. Mr. Walter, you seem like a different person ever since your daughter and grandson started visiting you. Sarah was right. Walter had regained the sparkle in his eyes and seemed more energetic. The depression he had carried during the years of family isolation was giving way to a renewed will to live. Sarah, said Jennifer, my father will need some special care when he leaves the hospital. Do you know any nurses who do home care? Actually, Sarah replied, I do some private shifts on weekends. If you'd like, I can check in on him from time to time. That would be wonderful, Jennifer said. I'm a nurse myself, but sometimes it's hard to be objective when it comes to family. Walter listened to the conversation, feeling pampered. For years, he had taken care of himself, and now people were organizing themselves to look after him. It was a strange but comforting feeling. You don't need to worry so much about me, Walter said. I managed on my own for 3 years. But you shouldn't have been alone, Tyler said, putting down his notebook and looking seriously at his grandfather. Family should stick together, especially when someone is sick. You're right, son, Walter admitted. I should have been less proud and reached out to you. And we should have been less proud too, Jennifer added. But what matters is that we've learned from our mistakes. Dr. Mitchell entered the room with new test results. His expression was more optimistic than during his last visit. "Mr. Walter, I have good news," the doctor announced. "The pneumonia is completely gone and your lungs are responding very well to treatment. What about the biopsy?" Jennifer asked. "We'll do it tomorrow morning," Dr. Mitchell replied. "You're strong enough now." Tyler approached the doctor with a worried look. "Doctor, will the biopsy hurt my grandpa?" "It might be a little uncomfortable, Tyler," Dr. Mitchell explained honestly. "But we'll give him medicine so he won't feel pain." "Can I stay with him during the test?" the boy asked. "The procedure is done in the surgical center, where children aren't allowed," the doctor explained. "But you can wait in the lounge, and as soon as it's over, he'll be back in his room." Walter reached out to his grandson. "Tyler, I'll be fine. And when I come back from the test, you can show me how your new drawing is coming along." "What new drawing?" Jennifer asked. "I'm making a drawing of our family in the hospital," Tyler explained, "with doctors, nurses, and everything." "Can I see?" Walter asked. Tyler fetched his sketchbook and showed a colorful illustration of the family in the hospital room. Everything was there: the hospital bed, the medical equipment, and the three family figures together. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," Jennifer said. "You have a real talent for drawing." "My art teacher always says I draw well," Tyler said proudly. "She says when I grow up, I could be an artist." "You can be whatever you want, son," Walter said, "and I'll be here to support you in everything." "Even if I want to be an astronaut?" Tyler asked, teasing. "Even if you want to be an astronaut," Walter confirmed, laughing. Jennifer watched the conversation between father and son with a warmed heart. This was what she had denied Tyler for 3 years, the chance to dream with his grandfather's unconditional support. "Dad," Jennifer said, "I want you to know I'll do everything to make up for lost time." "Jennifer, the past is behind us," Walter replied. "What matters is the time we have ahead." "I hope it's a lot of time," Tyler said, snuggling next to his grandfather on the bed. "I hope so too, son. I hope so too." That night, Jennifer stayed late at the hospital. After Tyler fell asleep in the armchair next to the bed, she and Walter talked about their plans for the future. "Dad, no matter what the biopsy results say, you're going to live with us," said Jennifer. "I've already cleaned out the room we used for storage. It'll be perfect for you." "Jennifer, are you sure it won't be too much trouble?" Walter asked. "I might need special care depending on the treatment." "Dad, I've been a nurse for 15 years. I know exactly how to take care of you," Jennifer replied. "And besides, Tyler needs his grandpa in his life." "He's grown so much these past 3 years," Walter observed, looking at his sleeping grandson. "When I left you both, he was still just a little boy." "He always talked about you," Jennifer admitted. "Even when I tried to stop him, he found ways to ask about Grandpa." "Really?" Walter asked, his voice thick with emotion. "Really. Once I found him crying in his room, holding a picture of you. When I asked what was wrong, he said he missed the grandpa who went away." Walter felt tears welling in his eyes. "Jennifer, I never would have left you. You two are the most important things in my life." "I know that now, Dad." "And I'm sorry for ever doubting you," Jennifer said, taking her father's hand. "We both made mistakes," Walter said, "but what matters is that those mistakes taught us the value of being together." The next morning, Walter was taken in for his biopsy. Jennifer and Tyler waited anxiously in the lobby for the results. The boy had brought a storybook to read but was too nervous to focus. "Mom, what if the results are bad?" Tyler asked. "Then we'll face it together, as a family," Jennifer answered. "No matter what happens, your grandpa won't be alone anymore." Dr. Mitchell appeared in the waiting room 2 hours later. His neutral expression made Jennifer even more anxious. "How did the procedure go?" Jennifer asked, standing up immediately. "Everything went smoothly," the doctor replied. "He's waking up from sedation now. You can see him in a few minutes." "And the results?" Tyler blurted out, unable to wait. "The biopsy results will take a few days," Dr. Mitchell explained. "But I can tell you the tumor is small and localized. Whether it's benign or malignant, the chances for treatment are very good." Jennifer felt a wave of relief. It wasn't the best news, but it wasn't the worst either. "Doctor, when can he go home?" she asked. "If there are no complications, as early as tomorrow," Dr. Mitchell said. but he'll need regular follow-ups. When they returned to the room, Walter was still groggy from the sedation, but smiled when he saw his family. "How was it, Grandpa?" Tyler asked, carefully stepping closer to the bed. "It was fine, son," Walter replied, his voice slow and heavy. "And tomorrow, I'm going home with you." "To our home," Tyler corrected. "It's our home now." Walter closed his eyes and drifted off with a smile on his face. For the first time in 3 years, he had a home to go to, a family to care for him, and hope for the future. The next morning, Walter was discharged from the hospital. Jennifer had spent the night before cleaning out the room for her father and preparing the house to welcome him properly. "Dad, you'll be in the room right next to mine," Jennifer explained, as she helped Walter get dressed. "That way, if you need anything during the night, you can just call for me. And it's close to my room too," Tyler added, "so we can talk before bedtime." Walter was overwhelmed. For 3 years, he had slept alone in an empty house. Now, he would have family nearby, people who cared about him and whom he could care for in return. "Are you sure you won't get tired of me?" Walter asked, half joking, half serious. "Never," Tyler answered firmly. "Family never gets tired of family." The boy's simple wisdom once again touched the adults' hearts. During the drive home, Walter gazed at the familiar landscape with new eyes. He was seeing everything for the first time as someone who had a family waiting for him. "That's where I fell into the river," Walter said, pointing to the bridge that had been repaired by the city after the accident. "And that's where our family reunited," Jennifer added with a smile. "The river that almost tore us apart forever was the same one that brought us back," Tyler observed. Jennifer's house was simple but cozy, a small 2-story home with a garden in front and a backyard. Walter hadn't seen the house in 3 years and was amazed by the changes Jennifer had made. "You've made a beautiful garden, Jennifer," Walter remarked, admiring the flowers by the entrance. "Tyler helped me plant them," Jennifer said. "He always said that when you came back, you'd love seeing the flowers." "You planted these thinking of me?" Walter asked, moved. "I always knew you'd come back one day," Tyler replied. "Mom didn't believe it." Jennifer opened the front door and helped her father inside. The room prepared for him was impeccable, a comfortable bed, a spacious closet, an armchair by the window, and even a few family photos on the walls. "My goodness, Jennifer," Walter said, looking around. "You did all this for me?" "Of course, Dad. This is your home now," Jennifer answered. Walter sat in the armchair by the window and looked out at the backyard, where Tyler had set up a small swing tied to a tree. "Tyler, did you make that swing?" Walter asked. "I did, with Mr. Johnson's help, our neighbor," Tyler replied proudly. "Want to try it?" "Not right now, son. I'm still a little tired from the hospital," Walter said, "but tomorrow we can play outside." During his first days at home, Walter gradually settled into the new routine. Jennifer had adjusted her work schedule to be around more, and Tyler came home from school eager to tell his grandfather about his day. "Grandpa, today my teacher asked about my family for a project," Tyler shared at dinner. "I said I live with my mom and my hero grandpa." "Hero grandpa?" Walter asked, amused. "Of course, you fell in the river and survived, and I saved you, so I'm a hero too," Tyler explained with childlike logic. "That's true," Jennifer agreed. "You're both heroes, one for surviving, the other for saving." Just as the family routine was taking shape, Dr. Mitchell called with the biopsy results. Jennifer answered and put the call on speaker so Walter and Tyler could hear. "I have good news," Dr. Mitchell announced. "The tumor is benign." Relief washed over the room. Walter closed his eyes and took a deep breath, while Tyler jumped for joy. "Does that mean Grandpa's cured?" Tyler asked. "Not completely yet," the doctor explained. "We'll need to remove the tumor with surgery, but it's a simple procedure with excellent chances of success." Jennifer felt as if a massive weight had lifted from her shoulders. Her father didn't have a terminal illness. They would have plenty of time together ahead. "Doctor, when would the surgery be?" Jennifer asked. "In 2 weeks if he's feeling well," Dr. Mitchell replied. "It's a routine procedure, but we'll take all necessary precautions." After hanging up, the family embraced in a moment of pure happiness and relief. "Now I'm sure I'll be here to watch Tyler grow up," Walter said, emotional. And to teach me how to fish, Tyler added. You promised you would when I got bigger. And you already are bigger, Walter noted. How about we start the fishing lessons next weekend? That night, after Tyler went to sleep, Jennifer and Walter talked about the future with more optimism than they'd felt in years. Dad, when all this was happening, did you ever think our family would never reconcile? Asked Jennifer. Many times, admitted Walter, especially in the first few months. I'd even dreamed that you and Tyler came to visit me, and I'd wake up so sad when I realized it was just a dream. I dreamed too, confessed Jennifer. I dreamed you were sick and needed me, and I'd wake up wanting to call you, but pride always got in the way. Pride is a terrible thing, said Walter. It makes us waste precious time with the people we love. But it was also pride that made me want to protect Tyler from disappointment, said Jennifer. I really thought I was doing what was best for him. And you were doing what you thought was right with the information you had, said Walter. We were both victims of a very convincing con man. Dad, do you forgive me for all those lost years? Asked Jennifer. Jennifer, there's nothing to forgive, replied Walter. We both reacted out of pain and hurt. What matters is we found the truth and we're together now. And we'll stay together forever, added Jennifer. Forever, agreed Walter. 2 weeks later, Walter underwent surgery to remove the tumor. Jennifer and Tyler spent the entire day at the hospital, anxious for the results. Dr. Mitchell came out of the operating room with a smile, immediately putting the family at ease. The surgery was a complete success, the doctor announced. We removed the entire tumor and there's no sign it spread to other organs. Tyler hugged his mother and cried with relief. Can I see Grandpa now? The boy asked. He's still in recovery, explained Dr. Mitchell, but he'll be able to have visitors in a few hours. When they finally saw Walter, he was drowsy but awake. He smiled at his family and reached for his grandson's hand. How do you feel, Dad? Asked Jennifer. Like I've been given a second chance at life, replied Walter. And this time, I won't waste a single minute away from you all. Neither will we, promised Tyler. Now we're a family forever. Walter's recovery was faster than the doctors expected. Within a week, he was home, walking in the yard and helping Tyler with homework. Grandpa, now that you're better, can we go fishing? Tyler asked one morning. Of course, son, replied Walter. How about we go to the river where we reunited? That river is special to our family, said Tyler. It's where everything started again. Jennifer joined them on the first fishing trip of their family's new chapter. She brought a picnic basket and they spent the whole day by the river, fishing, talking, and laughing together. Dad, thank you, Jennifer said suddenly, watching Walter teach Tyler how to bait the hook. Thank you for what? Asked Walter. For not giving up on us, replied Jennifer. For staying here, waiting for the day we'd find each other again. Jennifer, family never gives up on family, said Walter, repeating his grandson's wise words. By evening, as they headed home with the small fish Tyler had caught, they looked like a family that had never been apart. Mum, can I invite Grandpa to school next week? Asked Tyler. The teacher asked each of us to bring a family member to talk about their job. Of course, replied Jennifer. What job will Grandpa talk about? Grandpa, Tyler answered simply. The most important job in the world. Months later, the Thompson family had settled into a new rhythm of life. Walter fully recovered from the surgery and resumed his daily walks, but now always accompanied by Tyler or Jennifer. The house came alive again with the grandfather's presence. The garden bloomed even more under Walter's care, who discovered he had a talent for gardening. Tyler learned to fish and became an excellent student, motivated by his grandfather's constant support with his studies. Jennifer began to smile genuinely again. The guilt over the lost years had given way to gratitude for the years ahead. She and her father developed an even stronger relationship than they had before the separation. One day, Tyler came home from school with special news. Grandpa, my teacher wants me to write an essay about family for a school contest, said Tyler excitedly. And what will you write about? Asked Walter. About how our family got lost and found each other again, Tyler replied, and about how love is stronger than pride. Walter was moved by his grandson's maturity. Do you want me to help you write it? Walter offered. Yes, please, Tyler answered. You can help me remember all the details. Over the next few days, grandfather and grandson worked together on the essay. Tyler wrote with the simplicity of a child, but with the depth of someone who had lived through a profound experience. Grandpa, read it to me how it turned out, Tyler asked, handing the notebook to Walter. Walter read aloud. My family got lost because of a lie. A bad man told my mum that my grandpa didn't love us anymore. My mum was very sad and angry, and we didn't see Grandpa for 3 years. But I knew it was a lie, so I skipped school to watch Grandpa from afar. One day he fell into the river, and I had to save him. That's when we discovered we were a family again. My grandpa got sick, but we took care of him and now he's healed. He lives in our house and teaches me so many things every day. I've learned that family is who loves you even when you're apart. And sometimes people do wrong things because their hearts are hurting. But when the pain goes away, love comes back stronger. My family is happy again now, and I'll never let anyone separate us ever again. Walter finished reading with tears in his eyes. It's perfect, my boy, dear, he said. You wrote our story better than any adult could. Tyler won first place in the contest. On the day of the award ceremony, Walter and Jennifer sat in the front row, proud of the boy who had become the storyteller of their family's journey. And now, to receive the first place award, Tyler Thompson, announced the school principal. Tyler stepped onto the stage and, before taking the trophy, spoke into the microphone. I want to dedicate this award to my mom and my grandpa, who taught me that family love is the most important thing in the world. The audience applauded emotionally, but no one more than Walter and Jennifer, who knew those simple words perfectly captured the journey they had walked together. That evening, the three of them had dinner at home to celebrate Tyler's victory. During dessert, Walter made an important announcement. I have a surprise for you, he said, pulling some papers from his pocket. What surprise? Tyler asked curiously. I transferred the deed of my old house into both of your names, Walter explained. Now you have 2 homes. Jennifer was surprised. Dad, you didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, Walter said. For 3 years you lived without me. Now I want to make sure you always have a home, no matter what happens. What will we do with 2 houses? Tyler asked. We could rent one and use the money for your college, Jennifer suggested. Or we could turn one into a vacation home for fishing, Tyler said excitedly. Or we could sell it and use the money to travel together, Walter suggested. We have plenty of time to decide, said Jennifer. What matters is that now all decisions will be made as a family. As a family, repeated Walter and Tyler in unison. 2 years had passed since the Thompson family's reunion. Walter, now 77, was healthier and happier than ever. Tyler, at 13, had grown into a responsible and caring teenager. Jennifer, at 40, had finally found peace and balance in life. Their home had become a gathering place for neighbors and friends. Mrs. Baker visited regularly, always with new stories to share. Sarah, the nurse, had become a close family friend and often joined them for Sunday dinners. Dad, do you remember what our lives were like 2 years ago? Jennifer asked one afternoon as the three worked in the garden. I remember very well, Walter replied, and I know I never want to go back to that lonely life again. Neither do I want to live with anger anymore, Jennifer said. Anger only made us waste precious time. And I never want to have to secretly keep an eye on Grandpa again, Tyler added. Now, we're always together. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of attorney Patricia Wells, the lawyer who had handled their case against Dr. Harold Wilson. Good afternoon, Thompson family, Patricia greeted them. I have some very good news for you. What news? Jennifer asked, wiping her gardening hands. Dr. Harold Wilson has been sentenced to 8 years in prison for fraud and forgery, the attorney announced, and you'll receive compensation for the emotional distress he caused. It's good he was punished, Walter said. I hope he doesn't harm anyone else. And the compensation? Tyler asked, curious about what that meant. It's money he has to pay you because he caused suffering to your family, Patricia explained. How much? Jennifer asked. $50,000 for the family, the attorney replied. Jennifer and Walter exchanged glances, surprised by the amount. What should we do with this money? Tyler asked. We'll discuss it as a family, Jennifer said, like we always do now. After Patricia left, the three sat on the porch to talk about the compensation. "I think we should use the money for something that honors our family's reunion," Walter suggested. "How so?" Tyler asked. "What if we build a small guest house in the backyard?" Jennifer proposed, "for when family visits." "Or we could take a family trip," Tyler suggested. "Explore new places together." "Or we could save it all for your education," Walter offered. "How about we do a little of everything?" Jennifer said. "Some for travel, some for Tyler's education, and some to improve our home." "Good idea," Walter agreed. "But first, I'd like to donate part of it to an organization that helps families who've gone through situations like ours." "That's beautiful, Grandpa," Tyler said. "Let's help other families reunite too." "Exactly," Walter replied. "And maybe our story can inspire others." Jennifer looked at her father and son with pride. They had not only become a reunited family, but one that wanted to help others. "You two are amazing," Jennifer said. "I'm so proud to be part of this family." "We're proud of you too, Mom," Tyler said, "for having the courage to admit mistakes and fix everything." "And for raising such a wise and brave boy," Walter added. That evening, as they prepared dinner together, a tradition they'd adopted, they talked about their future plans. "Grandpa, when I grow up and have my own kids, I'll tell them our family's story," Tyler said. "And what story will you tell?" asked Walter. "I'll tell them about a very brave grandfather who never gave up on his family, about a mother who learned to recognize her mistakes, and about a boy who saved his grandfather from the icy river," replied Tyler. "And I'll add that the most important thing of all was that love overcame pride," Jennifer added. "And that a united family can overcome any hardship," Walter finished. During dinner, they finalized their plans for using the settlement money. They decided to take a trip to the Myrtle Beach coast, something Tyler had always wanted to do. They also set aside an amount for the boys' education and another for home improvements. "And how much are we donating?" asked Tyler. $10,000, said Walter, "to an organization that helps families separated by misunderstandings reunite." "Grandpa, do you really think our story can help other people?" Tyler asked. "I'm sure it can, my boy," Walter replied. "There are so many families out there who are separated over issues that could be resolved with conversation and forgiveness." A few months later, the Thompson family was on a beach in Myrtle Beach, enjoying their first trip together. Tyler was mesmerized by the ocean. Walter relaxed in a beach chair, and Jennifer finally felt whole. "Mom, take a picture of us," Tyler said, standing between his grandfather and mother. Jennifer asked a passing couple to take the family photo. In the picture, the three were smiling genuinely, with the ocean in the background and expressions of pure happiness. "This photo will go in our living room," Jennifer decided, "to remind us always of how happy we are together," Walter added. "And so others can see that a reunited family is the most beautiful thing in the world," Tyler finished. That night in their hotel room, they talked about the journey they had been through. "Can you believe just 2 years ago we were apart?" Jennifer asked. "It feels like a lifetime ago," Walter said, "but at the same time it feels like yesterday." "What matters is that we're together now, and we'll never be apart again," Tyler said, lying between his grandfather and mother on the hotel bed. "Never again," Jennifer promised. "Never again," Walter repeated. On the last day of their trip, they visited the same kind of bridge over a river that was near their home. Tyler held both adults' hands as they crossed. "This bridge is safe," Tyler observed, "not like the one where Grandpa fell." "But if it weren't for that broken bridge, maybe we would never have found each other," Walter said. "That's true," Jennifer agreed. "Sometimes bad things happen to lead us to good things." "Like when I got sick," Walter said. "It scared me, but it also made me cherish our time together even more." "And like when I realized I had lied to Tyler," Jennifer said. "It was awful to face what I'd done, but it made me a better mother. And like when I had to save Grandpa," Tyler said. "It was really scary, but it showed me I'm braver than I thought." When they returned home, they found several letters in the mailbox. One was from a family in another state who had read about their story in a local newspaper. Jennifer read the letter aloud. "Dear Thompson family, we read about your story in the newspaper and were deeply moved. Our family also went through a separation because of a misunderstanding over inheritance. My father and I hadn't spoken in 5 years over a silly argument. After reading about you, I decided to call him, and we realized it had all been a big mistake. Thank you for inspiring us to reconcile our family. With love, the Williams family. Look at that, Walter said, moved. Our story really is helping others. That's beautiful, Tyler said. Another family reunited because of us. This shows we did the right thing by sharing our experience, said Jennifer. Over the following months, they received many similar letters. Families who had been inspired by the Thompson story to overcome their own differences and reconcile. I think we should write a book, Jennifer suggested one day. A book about our family? Tyler asked excitedly. Why not? Said Walter. If our story can help other families, it's worth sharing it more widely. I can help write it, Tyler offered. I even won an essay contest once. Of course you can, Jennifer said. After all, you're a key part of this story. They began working on the book during the evenings after dinner. Walter shared his memories. Jennifer added the medical and emotional details, and Tyler contributed deeper reflections about family and love. What should we call the book? Tyler asked. How about The Bridge That Brought Us Together? Jennifer suggested. Or The River of Reunion, Walter offered. I like family, it's never too late to begin again, Tyler said. They settled on Tyler's suggested title, which perfectly captured the message they wanted to share. The book was published by a local publisher a year later. On launch day, the bookstore was packed with people eager to meet the Thompson family and hear their story in person. Good evening, everyone, Jennifer said into the microphone. We're the Thompson family, and we're here to share a story of separation, forgiveness, and reunion. Walter, Jennifer, and Tyler took turns telling different parts of their journey. The audience was visibly moved, with some people even crying during the retelling. What's the most important lesson you've learned? Asked a woman from the crowd. That pride can make us lose the people we love most, Jennifer answered. And that it's never too late to ask for forgiveness and start over, Walter added. And that real family never gives up on each other, Tyler finished. After the event, many people approached them to share their own family stories and ask for advice. You've given us hope, said a woman who hadn't spoken to her sister in 10 years. I'm calling her tomorrow. Our story was worth telling, Walter said to Jennifer and Tyler on the way home. Absolutely, Jennifer agreed. If we can help even one family reconcile, all the effort will have been worth it. 5 years had passed since the day of the river accident. Walter, now 80, remained healthy and active. Tyler, at 16, had grown into a responsible and caring young man. Jennifer, at 43, had found the perfect balance between her career and family life. Their book had sold thousands of copies and even inspired a social project to reunite families separated by misunderstandings. Dad, did you ever imagine our story would have this much impact? Jennifer asked during a Sunday lunch. Never, Walter admitted. I just wanted my family back. And you got so much more than that, Tyler said. Now we have an even bigger family, with all the people inspired by our story. It's true, Jennifer agreed. We've received letters from all over the country. And even from other countries, Tyler added, who had taken on the responsibility of replying to the letters. Walter looked at his family with deep pride and gratitude. At 80, he was living the best years of his life. Do you know the greatest gift I've received in these 5 years? Walter asked. What? Jennifer and Tyler said together. Watching Tyler grow into the wonderful young man he is today, Walter answered. And seeing Jennifer find the peace and happiness she deserves. And we got the best grandpa and dad in the world back, said Tyler, hugging Walter. Who will never leave again, added Jennifer, joining the embrace. Never again, promised Walter. Family is forever. That afternoon, the three went fishing at the same river where it all began. The bridge had been completely renovated and was now safe and beautiful. A small plaque had been placed by the local town council, telling the story of the Thompson family and turning the spot into an inspirational landmark. Look, Grandpa, said Tyler, pointing at the plaque. Our story is marked here forever. For other families to read and be inspired by, said Jennifer. So we never forget where we came from and what we've overcome, added Walter. As they fished, they talked about plans for the future. Tyler was preparing for college entrance exams and dreamed of studying journalism to keep telling stories that inspire people. "Grandpa, when I become a journalist, I'll write about families who reunite," said Tyler. "It'll be a beautiful career," said Walter, "spreading hope and love through words." "Just like we already do with our book," said Jennifer. "But on a bigger scale," added Tyler. The sun began to set, painting the sky in gold and pink. The three Thompson family fishermen gathered their rods and prepared to head home. "Another perfect family day," said Walter, walking slowly along the trail. "All our days are perfect now," said Tyler, holding his grandfather's arm to help him walk. "Because we're together," finished Jennifer. When they got home, a surprise was waiting for them. Mrs. Baker was on the porch with a chocolate cake, celebrating the 5-year anniversary of the family's reunion. "I thought you'd like to celebrate this special day," said the elderly woman, smiling. "Mrs. Baker, you're an angel," said Walter, hugging the friend who had witnessed the first moment of reconciliation. "I just did what any neighbor would do," Mrs. Baker replied modestly. "No, you did much more than that," said Jennifer. "You helped our family heal." During the celebratory dinner, they reminisced about the most memorable moments of the past 5 years, the first fishing trips, Walter's surgery, family vacations, the book launch, and all the small joys of everyday life. "Do you remember the first night Grandpa slept here at our house?" asked Tyler. "I remember," said Jennifer. "I stayed up half the night, afraid it was all a dream." "And I stayed up all night, thanking God for having my family back," said Walter. "And I slept like an angel because I was finally at peace," said Tyler, making everyone laugh. Mrs. Baker listened to the family's memories with emotion. She had followed their journey closely and felt like an honorary grandmother to Tyler. "Do you know what impresses me most about your story?" said Mrs. Baker. "What?" the three asked. "How you turned tragedy into blessing," the elderly woman replied. "The fall into the river, which could have been something terrible, became the start of a new life for all of you." "It's true," Walter agreed. "If I hadn't fallen, maybe we'd never have uncovered Dr. Wilson's lies. And maybe we'd never have reconciled," added Jennifer. "Sometimes God uses hard situations to give us gifts," observed Mrs. Baker. "Like the gift of discovering Tyler is a hero," said Walter, ruffling his grandson's hair. "And the gift of realizing we love each other too much to stay apart forever," added Tyler. When Mrs. Baker left, the Thompson family sat in the living room for their nightly ritual, talking about the day and planning the next. "Tomorrow we're expecting a journalist who wants to do a story about our social project," Jennifer reminded them. "And on Thursday, we have the meeting with the publisher to discuss the second edition of the book," Walter added. "And on Saturday is the school game, and you promised you'd come," Tyler chimed in. "We wouldn't miss it for anything," Jennifer assured him. "Not for anything in the world," Walter confirmed. Before bed, Tyler went to his grandfather's room for their usual ritual, sharing how his day went and saying goodnight. "Grandpa, are you happy?" Tyler asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Happier than I ever imagined I could be," Walter replied. "And you?" "Me too," Tyler said. "Sometimes I wonder what our lives would be like if you hadn't fallen into the river." "We'd probably still be apart," Walter admitted, too stubborn to take the first step. "Good thing you fell then," Tyler said with a smile. "Good thing you saved me," Walter replied. "We saved each other," Tyler corrected, with the wisdom he'd gained over the years. "That's true, my boy, that's true." Tyler kissed his grandfather's forehead and went to his room. Walter lay awake for a few minutes, reflecting on the extraordinary journey his family had taken. 5 years ago, he was a lonely, sick and bitter man. Now he was a beloved grandfather, healthy and surrounded by a close-knit family. 5 years ago, Jennifer was a woman full of anger and resentment. Now, she was a fulfilled mother and daughter, at peace. 5 years ago, Tyler was a child secretly carrying the burden of caring for his grandfather. Now he was a confident and loving young man. "Thank you," Walter whispered, looking at the ceiling. "Thank you for giving me a second chance with my family." In the next room, Jennifer also reflected on how their lives had transformed. She had learned that forgiveness is a gift we first give ourselves, that pride can poison relationships, and that it's never too late to begin again. In the back room, Tyler sketched in his notebook before bed. His drawing showed 3 figures holding hands, walking toward a bright sun. In the corner of the page, he wrote, "The Thompson family, together forever." The end. Now tell us what you thought of this touching story. Do you believe forgiveness can truly reunite separated families? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other inspiring stories. Thank you so much for being here with us.